Silver Surfer as well, but they've cast a woman as Silver Surfer, haven't they?
That'd be great.
I mean, my hopes have sort of died for that. Now they've cast a woman in the role, so I think it's.
And what? They cast a role as Silver Surfer?
Apparently so.
Fuck off! They don't learn.
No,
it's incredible. Finally, the comic book industry has finally got it right. They finally got it.
Seems so. There's buzz around the new Ultimate Spider-Man book, and apparently the Ultimate Black Panther book is good as well.
You're not getting me going back to American comics. I'm sorry, but here, this I found very interesting. How is G.I. Joe selling more in 2024 than 2023? It's because it's not woke shit. They rebooted it to be essentially in the Transformers universe,
the Energon universe.
That's the one. Yeah, with Sky. And they made them comic books that for people who would like them. Yeah. Right. And they're like, well, how is it selling more? Because everything you said for the last 10 years, Rich Johnson, is lying shit. That's how.
Can Rich Johnson really be as stupid as he appears to be when you read this stuff?
No, he goes, how is it? It just he doesn't want to admit he's wrong, right? It doesn't admit he's wrong. Somebody who's going to have a lot to admit they're wrong about, which I think this we really need to talk about this, is Rusty Davies. Man, everything Rusty Davies is a freaking disaster nowadays, right? I honestly, as I've said many times, right? I came into Church and Ruby Road imagining it was the first new Doctor Who since '89, like it was a full reboot in of itself, and I was generally entertained by it more through luck than judgment, I think, because every creative choice I've seen this production team do has been a absolute duffer. Apart from Millie Gibson, but including Millie Gibson, if you include Fire Emblem, right? So it's like every decision has just been let's spend $10 billion on making David Tennant's arms look big. Oh, well, okay, yeah, his arms look big. That's true. Well done. But he seems
got the big arms. The big arms is nailed. He's got that nailed down.
Yeah, and they look great. They did look great. It's just this. I know you didn't mind that Wobbly Yonder.
I thought it was fantastic. I absolutely frigging loved it all the way through.
Go back and watched it.
Well, that's a sticking point because obviously I haven't got a TV license, so
it's out on Blu-ray now.
It is now, yeah, and I've had the Blu-rays come now, so I'm just waiting. I'll be watching them and reviewing them for my podcast. Yeah, so I will. I
have genuinely no interest in rewatching any of the specials. Like genuinely, like zero.
I'm looking forward to it for one reason or another. Because I hate. I'm going to keep saying I mostly really enjoyed them. I did.
I mostly didn't. For me, it was like a few diamonds on a pot. Okay, I mean, again, Meet the Beat looked great casting. But the fundamental problems were, for me, David Tennant and Catherine Tate seem past it, as Rusty Davies seems past it.
Perhaps.
And they really do. In hindsight, go watch it again, right?
Perhaps.
They really seem past it.
There is an unwoke cut of the Star Beast out there done by a friend, certainly a friend of mine. I think you probably know him as well, which I'm going to try and download. Even though
I want the unwoke version of it, but still. Even so, it's not worth the fucking effort, right? Even if it's okay, but it's not worth the effort.
Well, the 3 episodes were unarguably not worth the long wait. But
God, no.
Speaking of somebody within the fandom who was kind of counting the weeks, they weren't worth the wait.
Me too. I was right there with you.
But looking at it kind of a little more objectively, as the general public's perspective, I actually think they were, for the most part, reasonably strong. It's just the fact that they weren't promoted. They were a kind of an exercise in nostalgia, despite the clear increase in budget, and they didn't seem like they were leading the way through to something not revolutionary, but something really exciting. They
seem like they're leading the way in a new direction, right? They did seem like they were going, but the direction was just so it's so tone deaf and out of date. Now, here's the thing: when you go very contemporary, if you miss, right, which this production has, it makes it seem much more dated, right? If you get something that was cool 2 years ago, that's right, they're making it 2 years in the future.
I think that's a major part of the problem. Right. I think that what they really needed to do was to sort of blow the doors off it all, and leave people really hungering for more. And there was a kind of appetite in between The Giggle and Ruby Road, but they completely dropped the ball by not following Ruby Road with a full season. And now,
right, I agree with you. I agree. But the trouble is, they expected a significant momentum, and they didn't get it. And I think they didn't get it because it just wasn't good enough. Again, the divisive trans shit all the way, that hung over Star Beast. Hurt it much more than I think people realize, because people are just done. In the noughties, it felt like Russell T Davies' hunger to prove a point about his own career, about his own talent, and about the strength of the show. That was what propelled Doctor Who to success. Exactly. In 2023/2024, it feels a lot more of a cynical effort and a corporate move. And I think that's why it ultimately feels a little hollow it felt a little hollow when I was watching it. But it was still, for the most part, enjoyable, but it felt a little unsatisfying, and it felt that it wasn't done with as much conviction as it had done before. So I did something fascinating on my last stream. I'm having this massive clean out in my office here, right?
Yeah.
And here, one second, let me pull this out. Here, I'll show you. I pulled out, here, you can see over there, my SF scenes from 7 to 20 it goes from. And I pulled one out at random, right? And I said, let's just go look through it and see what things were like there. This was from 2007. It was a Lost cover, right? Evangeline Lilly doing Lost on the cover. And when you A/B the stuff from then to now, the quality difference is huge. You don't realize how low the quality is now, right? Yeah. And I think there's this. I think the quality of the special was just extremely low if you compared to the pretty much everything that came before Whittaker.
I think that people the thing could have been as well, because you're quite right. I don't think David Tennant and Catherine Tate looked necessarily tired, but I do think that it was their seniority, I'm trying to be kind here, was perhaps more obvious than they were aware that it was.
No, they didn't look tired, but it felt tired.
Yes, and there was a whole ambience around it, whereby I think if they'd have lent into the nostalgia and ironically the anniversary of it a little more, the occasion of it a little more, people would have been a lot more forgiving. And I also think it would have been just a natural springboard into re-energizing the actual show, having re-established the cornerstones of Doctor Who, and people would have lapped it up.
Every creative choice was wrong to do that. That's the problem.
I think the bulk of them were, yeah. I don't know about every, but I think the bulk of them were.
So going back, there's a lot of things that I gave Russell the benefit of the doubt from. Now clearly I'm wrong. Right, there's I'm not sure we're going to get to today, maybe Saturday. There's Suze Kempner's. You've seen the video.
I saw, yeah.
And she was like, I didn't even audition. So Russell E. Davies was behind her hiring because she liked her Nadine Dorris videos. I'm like, Russell, mate, you got to get rid of this political insanity. There's Trump derangement syndrome in England, whatever it's called.
Yeah, because Nadine, you may or may not remember, because we have so many ministers coming in and out of those roles. Nadine Dorries was the culture minister who was pushing really quite aggressively, because she'd been on it for 10 years in various other seats in the government. She'd been pushing for the defunding of the BBC and the end of the licence fee model. So the BBC hate her in particular. Right. And so I can imagine. There was Sue's making these comedy videos, and so they gave her the job because of that. And fact, fans may be amused to learn that Colin Baker is a personal friend of Nadine Dorries. They've been friends for years and years and years and years.
Doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
But hang on, that can't be right. That can't be right. But that can't be right though, Tzvi, because Colin Baker's a big old lefty, surely, isn't he? Social justice warrior, and
I think he is. However,
can't be right.
However, I have to tell you, Big Finish has been on a bit. Let me go a bit. Big Finish has been on a bit of a good run recently, and I'm ready to take a punt on the new Colin Baker set coming out, which looks really
looks good. Yeah.
Oh, you don't fight. Take the time to open up. There we go.
Well, I say it looks good. I do not. I love a pun. Don't get me wrong, but the title of this box set, come on.
I love it. The Quinn Dilemma. Yeah. Could have been, Quim Dilemma. That would have been much better.
Well, I've had a few of those in my time.
Has never been a dilemma for me. I've already been all in. Right? But I love the cover. The cover really sold it to me. But the other thing that sold it to me is the strength of, the Revolution in Space, which has been excellent. Children of the Future has been excellent. Stephen Noona's last box has been excellent. Sontarans versus Routons, right? They've had two solid, non-woke, listenable, good releases for the last 2 months, right? So that's what made me encouraged to say, I'm going to put
it does sound strong, and the list of writers as well, and you read the little synopsis of the stories, and they just sound like a good assortment of stories that can hold your attention. Think, I'd listen to that. I'm down for that. And the actual format of the whole thing, how they hang it all together, also seems interesting too.
Right? Yeah. No, I am intrigued. So I think the rumors of Big Finish Demise was somewhat exaggerated. So not interested in this though. Oh, leave me alone. I'm not interested in this TARDIS team at all. Ever since one of them, I think Liv, started dating a woman with a penis, I'm just not into it. Stop with this bullshit. Enough already. And I'm kind of like, this is a range that needs a full reboot, right? And that it just isn't getting. Anyway,
they kind of did that last year, and then they found themselves sort of bogged down again, haven't they?
And they fucked it up by putting out one of the worst things I've ever listened to, right? Audacity. It was shockingly awful. Right, it was. I can't. There's no way I can aggrandize how bad it was. It was every line from this new character, Audacity, was cringe. Right. Fine. Have you read this yet? The audition, because I haven't.
No, I don't know anything about this. I've seen that the BBC have apparently dropped 200 scripts from various Doctor Who projects. Right. Onto the Whoniverse hub, but I don't know what they are. If this is one of them, who knows? So I don't know.
Yeah, this is the audition piece he wrote on January 12th, 2021. Fine. So interior room. The room has plain walls, no door, computer on a plinth. The Doctor's with Robin, a 21-year-old modern human. They barely know each other. They've been chased by monsters, turned around a corner, ran into this room, and they're sealed in. And now they're coming down, though the Doctor is always thinking of 500 things at once, mind spinning, ticking, racing, and having fun too. Nice and fast. So you have Robin says, those monsters chasing, what were they? They were the spikes. What are the spikes? Well, they look like all spiky, didn't they? When they get angry or mad, you suddenly have an idea, or maybe you fall in love, or like bang, and that's your brain spiking. And those things were spiky thoughts brought to life. I'm trying to imagine Shooty Gatwa. I can imagine Shooty Gatwa saying that, right? They should totally put his audition out, right? Because they said it was the greatest thing ever. Although they say that about everything, so I can't.
Russell said that Jinx Monsoon is a big star, so I think we can.
Well, again, in Russell's little world, she is. Right? He lives in a tiny little bubble.
So I take it with a pinch of salt.
Right. So anyway, they're doing Doctor banter. Where's the bit where they talk about the timeless child? What's this, 2020? I'm the Doctor. Nice to meet you, Robin. Really, really nice. Great hair. Don't know about the shoes. What year is it? 2023. I really don't know about the shoes. Okay. How do you not know what year it is? Easily, but listen to me. We're trapped, and that computer says we're out of air in 100 seconds, but I'll get you out here. Like, I'm kind of getting bored of the Doctor being like this. This is somebody pointed this out in one of my comments. The Lenny Henry Doctor that I have in my titles from the sketch he did, right?
Yeah,
that was a parody of the Doctor, and that's the model they sort of followed since 2005. This like child of destiny that can whirlwind in the set.
Yeah, we get a shorthand version it's a shorthand version of the character that the general public kind of half remember the Doctor being, rather than.
But he really wasn't. Like, I've been watching a lot more classic recently, and John Pertwee was a little bit more James Bondish at the time, right? But Tom Baker, it seems very wrapped up in his own. The Doctor seems now, the modern Doctor seems very wrapped up in his own ego, whereas while he had a bit of an ego before, it wasn't the defining characteristic of him.
To be honest, as much as I like Russell, I think that a lot of what you're talking to points directly at Russell T Davies and his way of writing the character, relating to the character. Moffat, I don't think Moffat really continued with that. I think there are strings to it initially with Matt Smith's incarnation, but they were mostly gone within 3 or 4 episodes.
In fact, he went out his way at one point to say, "Look, I really am just a madman in a box."
Yeah.
All right. Which I thought was going good. So fine, this goes on and on, but I want to find the bit where they talk about the timeless charm.
I just hope that Russell is bringing through proper talent because he can't be writing this stuff for years, because you're right, all this does read as very, very generic.
It almost reads as an AI take on Rusty Davies Doctor Who. I'll find it. It's looks at Rob and said, "It's a time machine. It travels in time and space because I'm not from Earth. I'm a Time Lord. I come from another universe, but the Time Lords adopt me, and that's my heritage now. That's the very last Time Lord in existence. So what? They're gone again now? Oh, they are gone again now. I forgot. So convoluted. I don't understand why he's trying to incorporate the law of Christendom, right? Which he very much is. I don't understand what advantage that possibly gives him. Again, I refuse, and I would discourage people from getting their knickers in a twist about this. This is an audition piece from 3.5 years ago. No, I hear that.
When they were still in the dead heat of the Chibnall era, and he wasn't certain about whether, at this point, did they know it was definitely going to go? Yeah, I suppose they would have done, but he would not have been. He would not have been certain as to the health of the show that he was about to inherit.
No, he knew it was in. No, they knew it was in the shitter by this point.
Yeah,
BBC knew 100% it was in the shitter at this point. Right,
I can imagine. For example, Russell. Tzvi, I can imagine that at the time Russell was coming off the back of writing and promoting It's a Sin and everything else that he got going on at the same time as this, and might not have really had more than half an eye on what was going on with Doctor Who culturally.
He knew. So much of the stuff he's done has been a reaction.
I don't think any of this stuff in this audition piece will make it through to the actual show, and I can't see them picking up on. He doesn't. Yes, he's not going again. But I can't believe. I don't like talking about the Timeless Children because to me it seems like years ago and completely irrelevant. But really, I can't see how he would fixate on this, expand it in any way, or even reference it in any way now. You know, we saw him and heard him retcon it in The Giggle. It's just not. Yeah, it's just not worth. It's barely even worth thinking about. Never mind.
Again, I think it's important to understand the mindset of the production. And I think that does play into it a lot. So the mindset of the production is that the Timeless Child was real and all that stuff happened, and they keep peppering it with references to it, right? So, for example, they had the what's it called? The Flux referenced in the specials. You had the Timeless Child, and you could like retcon them away in your head, right?
The Flux stuff is absolutely fine by me. In fact, it made perfect sense, and I thought he used it as fuel really effectively. But as regards this stuff, because none of it, because at least the Flux, we saw it on screen. We saw most of it happen. We saw the build up to it. We saw it hit, and we saw the aftermath of it. It was a thing we witnessed. If you choose to view,
but again, I don't really think any of that was real. Any of that universe is real. I like.
No, I mean I forget
whatsoever.
I've got those 3 series of the show completely cauterized now. It did feel in between Twice Upon a Time and the Star Beast that Doctor Who had just been off screen all that time. It felt like a spin-off show that just had the same name, and therefore I've annexed everything that happened in those 29 episodes into its own pocket universe inside my head. Stuck it. Right. It just have no relevance to me at all.
Right. But you have to do that to be able to watch and enjoy this era of Doctor Who.
I don't know. In my case, it's not something I've actively done. It's done. That version of the show did it to itself. It made itself irrelevant.
No, but I think, by tying the current era to that old era, right? To the Chibnall era, has delegitimized this era. And it seems to be.
I think he got away with it with the Flux stuff and anything else that's been mentioned.
Yes, I think Timeless Children know, right? And also the Flux.
He hasn't actually mentioned the Timeless Children, though, has he?
Yeah, that's the point I get to. He hasn't actually mentioned it, but we know from all the ancillary stuff that he considers it part of Doctor Who lore. Right, and we have had references to it, which you can retcon away. I think it's problematic that they.
But we've also got to bear in mind that the same places that he said all those things are also the same places where he's insisted that he respects Chris Chibnall as a writer, whereas we know for a fact that he doesn't.
Honestly, I don't know he doesn't at this point. He's certainly treated him like he respects him as a writer. Well, in that case, that makes it all the more confusing.
It's a game. It's all a big game. We're all playing everything that's said as part of these publicity things. It's all a load of balls. It's. But
why would you want publicity that drives people away from your show, which is what it's doing? It's driving negative. Yeah. I honestly, the reason why
to try and keep as many people. It's the whole thing of trying to please as many people as you possibly can at the same time. You can't please all the people all the time, but people like Russell can't help but try.
I don't think he's trying to please all people. I think he's trying to convince people that what he believes is right. I don't think he's trying to please people.
If I was running this show, and I think you'd probably feel the same, Rabbi, I wouldn't think twice about disenfranchising the pricks who claim they enjoyed the Jodie Whittaker era. Firstly, because anybody that says that, they're all lying, and because there's only actually 5 of them anyway. But in Russell's head, because he's part of this sort of cathedral, he's completely sort of ideologically captured by the same schools of thought, the same ideology. He's not thinking along those lines at all, but he thinks there's way more of them than there actually are, and all that kind of thing. So he believes that he can craft and weave together a version of the show which will not disenfranchise them, keep them on board, because I think he believes he can serve them better, which wouldn't be that hard. So he thinks he can satisfy them, please the general public, and ultimately people like you and I all at the same time, which I don't. The evidence says, though, that he is at fault, that's not the case. That's just my opinion.
Every creative decision is a bad one, right? There doesn't seem to be any creative decision where I go, yeah, that's totally working, right? That's totally working. I'm trying to find out. There's this thing that people are freaking out online about them describing Donna's daughter as, I'm trying to find the quote because it's crazy. That the fact that people are freaking out about it is genuinely insane. But they don't describe her as trans. They describe her as born a man and taken on the identity of a woman. And they're like, oh, that's the wrong. Maybe I'm looking.
Who cares?
It's just so fucking weird. These people are never happy.
Like, they'll never be happy. The activists will never be happy. Again, in my view, I would say that trying to be objective about it, that character, as realised on screen, was largely a pretty positive representation of life as part of that community.
Who are we talking
played
about?
By whatever her name was, Rose Temple Noble, was a pretty good and relatively rounded version of a trans person on screen in a populist drama, but they're not going to see it that way.
It was entirely idealized, right? She was good in every way. She was the hero of the piece. So anyway, this is the most bizarre thing, right? And here's Rose, Donna's daughter, 15, mixed race, born male, but now choosing a female identity, name and clothes. Well, okay, that seems quite right on, right? Very supportive, right?
So people are offended by that because of the wording.
Right. So this is insane. Absolute insanity. It's clearly not intended as malicious or transphobic. Rusty Davies is just very poor at using the correct terminology. Hopefully he will hire trans writers to help address this. Yep, it's revealing. What do you want? Do you want him to give you a hand job as well? I don't like. It's just insanity beyond insanity.
You have to use their terms. You have to speak the way they speak. You have to completely subscribe and get every single update. Walk completely in step with them every beat.
Exactly.
It's pathetic. It's a cult. When people are talking, when it's not trans people that are the problem, it's these activists. It's that behave in this cultish way.
Okay, if we were just worrying about trans people, nobody would worry about trans people because trans people have always been around and they've always been a reasonably invisible, teeny tiny percentage of the population, and they would be normally it's considered a sex.
It's 0.003% of the UK population.
Right,
Bless their hearts. They should be left to enjoy their lives in peace, not subjected to this sort of nonsense.
This is nonsense beyond nonsense. Anyway, so we have this guy who says, I hate how he words things like this. It betrays that no matter how much he tries to be supportive, he doesn't really understand the experience. No one understands the experience because they're fucking insane. He really needs a co-writer for this episode. Nobody's even going to see it.
And besides, wasn't that an internal? So that was how he denoted the character in the script.
Right.
So that's only going to members of the production team. It's him speaking in his own, as he has imagined a character, in his own words. Whoever this arsehole is, well, you'd be free to use your own words to describe that character and any character too.
These are idiot children who have never had jobs. They have no idea what the world's like. They're mentally ill, right? Yep, he could have hired, I don't know, Abigail Thorne, a published playwright and media literate trans scholar, or Juno Dawson, who already works with the franchise. So this is Cara. She is trans. Dawson. Is that so hard, Russell? Oh,
I do notice how the one of them is like titled so-and-so's going to Gallifrey 1. These are the people who get to go to Gallifrey 1. The Tin Dog podcast chips in. He's a decent enough guy. So he asks a pretty reasonable question. Okay, you're losing your S. How would you have written it? You see, this is where I disagree with Tin Dog. Yeah. He means well, but here he is apologising. And if you're watching this, Tinny, here you are apologising for who you are. For your age, for your own identity. You shouldn't be doing this, mate. You should not be doing this. It's a perfectly reasonable question.
He, along with so many others, have completely bought into this guilt and shame of being who they are.
Don't throw yourself on their altar. They should be listening to you.
He would never watch this because he views me, I think, as a alt-right fascist, right? Because I think chicks with dicks are cool girls, right? Chicks are cool boys, I should say. But yeah, that's just me for you. And I'm not like saying round them up, put them in the camps. I'm just saying my personal opinion is I don't think they're the gender they think they are. Here, I have a friend who was born female but goes by a male name and chooses to present male. They don't call themselves trans, so what's the issue here? I'm confused. It seems perfectly... Okay, I was doing the wrong voice for him. Perfectly fair character we saw on TV. What does this reveal? It's unnecessary. Rose is Donna and Sean's daughter. She's trans. Although how that's relevant in this scene, I'll never know. It's entirely relevant to every pore of that character. So what's the Tinny say? He says, how would you have written a show? Here's the trouble. He spent the last 7 years treating these people as if they're normal.
Handling them with kid. Well, I think it's more to the point. He's handling them with kid gloves. And you shouldn't be, particularly if they're going to be squaring up to grown men and women who've lived a life, as you say, who've lived and worked and formed opinions and have got a wealth of wisdom behind them, of interactions with real people in the real world, not completely anonymous entities on Twitter. I mean, what Darkrai mentions, they're relating a story from someone they actually know. And you can tell that that's truth. They haven't just invented that. You can tell by the way it's worded. But the other accounts, they aren't interested in what Darkrai's got to say because it doesn't fit. They've decided they want to be annoyed with Russell T Davies. They've decided they want to turn Russell into the next J.K. Rowling, by the sounds of it. I think
that's what he was trying to do as well. I think he's trying to fill that gap that J.K. Rowling left. From my perspective, it looks like he doesn't know the right terminology and is still learning. Like, I have to correct people on how to refer to me a lot. God, you must be a delight to be around. Even allies. He knows a transcript editor. LMAO. I mean, like, it's... your life is so fucking good that this is what you have to complain about, right?
Yeah.
It's like so good. So this could just be ill education. One second. Let me zoom in on
that person doesn't have to correct people at all. They choose to correct people. They choose to police another human being's speech. And they'll also find that more and more of the people in their lives will be avoiding having any conversation with them about anything in case they go off on one like this. This kind of live and let live, it counts for everybody. And literally all of us. We've all got to rub along together. Nobody gets preferential treatment.
I can't imagine this isn't that person, because why would you choose that as your avatar? But like, dude, I don't educate me on anything. You don't look like somebody who I would consider a great educator.
No.
What's it? But I also wonder if it might have been a specific avoidance of the word trans. Like, there are certain words you say on this platform that instantly attract the wrong sort of people attention. No, you trust me, darling. You attract lots of attention, right? Believe me, yeah. We don't. Sane people don't. Maybe, however, the BBC screen scripts. BBC loves it. They want more of that in there. I just want to leave this here to make it clear why this shit is bad and who serves regardless of intent. So we have Drake over here taking the piss out of the thing. Accurate language is transphobic, and they're all like, "Oh, that's violence." Whichever part upsets you, Rage Addict, the most, bunch of effing snowflake. What's your favorite part, Drake? The racial language or the sexist language? Whatever upsets them more. So yeah, we live in strange times, mate. We live in very, very strange times. I don't know what to tell you.
It makes uncomfortable reading. That is, it's
it's just bizarre beyond bizarre. But okay, why do these people find tolerance and space in Doctor Who fandom? Because of Russell T. fucking Davies with this fucking timeless child, right? And this fucking trans fucking shit all the fucking time. Right? Why are they? It's like fucking weird purple-haired winners, come here. Yeah. And be sure to give anybody shit that's not like exactly like you, weirdo. Oh, fuck off. Russell Davies should have chased him away. Should have chased him away at the very beginning of this raid. He's just fucked shooting so much. Now, I did a big story earlier this week. David Tennant definitely never ever coming back to Doctor Who, and also 100% in the season finale.
There's not a grain of truth in that season finale stuff.
Really? I don't know. I've had here.
Have you tracked it? Do you know where it comes from?
What?
Have you tracked it back to its original source? Do you know where it comes from?
Oh no. Okay, you tell me.
It comes from a piece from an interview on daytime TV at the weekend that Anita Dobson gave to Alan Titchmarsh.
Yes, and she said she filmed scenes with David Tennant.
No, she didn't even say that. Alan Titchmarsh. All Alan Titchmarsh said to her was, "Oh, Doctor Who's such a big thing, isn't it? And there's a new Doctor now, and they got David Tennant back as well, didn't they?" And she just sits there smiling at him, and they chat just really casually about Doctor Who for about 2 minutes. She doesn't say anything. There's no insinuation that Tennant is coming back again. Nothing. It's a complete fabrication of people on social media. Again, just as you were saying, people who are probably still children, who haven't had any interactions or real conversations with grown-ups, and everything, because obviously everything that's said on social media platforms, you have to take word for word literally. They're imagining that actual conversations are like that too. So the fact that Anita Dobson didn't say, "No, David Tennant's not in it anymore," means that he's still in. It's all completely from there, nothing else.
It will seem like it's just a massive disservice to Shruti Gatwa to have David Tennant still in it.
It would be if it was going to happen, but it's not.
Are you guys on tonight? Okay, you are on tonight.
We are on. We are out and about. We are let loose. And I'm not talking about the things that we've just talked about, but my God, have we got a lot of nonsense to get into on tonight's edition of the show?
Let's have a look. We got Doctor Who Silly Season, new Silly Season. Well, there's a lot of that. Doctor Moo, you saw that? That's crazy. Even Taylor as a space cap. What the hell?
See, you knew exactly what I'm talking about. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much ridiculousness already. We are how many weeks into the new year are we? 6 or 7 weeks into the new year. This is already bat-esque crazy by any standards. So we're going to do our best to get stuck into some of this. And there's a couple of things that are sort of serious, whether they're being pitched as serious. We're going to dissect those a little as well. We're going to have fun. We're going to take the piss. So please come and join us from 8 o'clock on the Type 40 channel there for Type 40 Live with myself and our international panel of correspondents. We're going to, it's going to be good.
People of the Type 40 podcast.
Dedicated and able,
Yes, dedicated and able. Hey, what's the other thing? So, do you have more time? Or you have to leave.
No, I've got to get going now. Got to go and get ready. Going to throw something down my neck. Some scran, as we say, and spike up my hair because people might not recognise me. And they'll be ready to go from 8 o'clock. But hopefully, I'll catch up with you at some point in the next few days, mate. As always. But cheers for that. Bye.
Goodbye. Fine. Let's get back to Doctor Who stuff. So this looked quite interesting. While Tzvi Davies is like trying to make the Timeless Children as canon can be. And with respect to Dan, I agree. I agree with him on pretty much everything. I just don't think, though, that I think it is important that the current production is very much trying to make the Chibnall era real somehow. And I can understand if they were going to retcon them away some, but no, they're like bending over backwards to make the Chibnall era a thing. Christian will comment about his divisive spell in charge of Doctor Who, art without merit, but also deflect some of the major issues. Did you notice that? Let's see what he had to say. Have you seen this summary thing they put at the beginning of every article? If you're too dumb to read anything, there's some people like read headlines and headlines. No, just read the thing. Christian has spoken recently about his time as Doctor Who showrunner and the divide he caused amongst fans. He didn't admit to that at all. So in fact, fans are just the worst, essentially. But the defense of his era raised more issues than it solved. Many of Chibnall's contributions to Doctor Who canon were amongst the most controversial in the franchise history, and they were the shittest, right? While certain aspects of the spell in charge of the long-running British sci-fi show displayed his creative flair, Chibnall's episodes arguably did more harm than good. Wait, let's go back and read that again. Of the long-running... Well, certain aspects of his spell in charge of the long-running sci-fi show displayed his creative flair. He doesn't have a creative flair. What are you talking about? Chibnall's episodes arguably did more harm. Well, arguably, I think, in what way didn't they do more the harm than good, right? You explain this to me. As such, his problematic lore is still dealt with in ongoing Doctor Who Season 14. Yes, and schmucks that they are, right, Russell? Schmuck that you are about that. It was announced in 2016 that Chris Chibnall would take over from Stephen Moffat. What, man? That was a bit of a what was I going to say? A handbrake turn in quality. As Doctor Who showrunner, Chibnall's rise to prominence within the franchise was a combination of many years of writing the show, including some of Doctor Who's best standalone episodes. Yeah, but he seemed to have somebody on top of him who knew what they were doing. He wrote for Torchwood, and I think he was much better writing for Torchwood than Doctor Who. As such, Chibnall is a natural successor to Moffat. No, what's his name? Toby Whithouse was. However, Chibnall's recent comments on the negative reception of his time in charge imply he wasn't quite prepared for the responsibility that was about to shoulder. Yeah, you think, right? You think. That reminds me here. Let's find this. After this, there's a little video we have to look at, which is just so funny. Right, here, I'll grab that over there. Fine. So when Jodie Whittaker's Doctor had little to do with Chibnall's era's divisiveness. No, she was terribly cast. Even when they worked out to keep it off the screen, right? She was just, whenever she destroyed the show. She was terribly cast, right? Oh, it's calling. Somebody from America, don't care. Chibnall puts much of the blame on the poor reception of his casting of Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, who was actually one of the better parts. No, she wasn't. She was absolutely, she was atrocious. Like, really, I mean, just in every way, she was absolutely atrocious. Said he was super proud of the time in charge of Doctor Who, and the mixed reactions was totally fine. I mean, you haven't had a job in TV since, just pointing that out. While this may sound like Chibnall is just thick-skinned when it comes to criticism, well, he's certainly classed in the Rusty Davies. Further comments in the same interview imply the former showrunner was blind to the actual issues of the era. Yes, because he was. Instead, Chibnall put much of the blame on the poor reception of the casting Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. I don't think he did that. We knew that going in. You don't cast the first thing on a Doctor if you're not thinking of going. If you're thinking you're going to just go into the same as been done before. No, but you should have done some of the same things, like it not being unwatchable shit, right? That probably would have been a bit. I mean, like, look how goofy and stupid she is. Oh. Mention about that Whittaker was the first thing on Doctor to play the character, and discussing the shortcomings of Chibnall's era comes across as an unfair explanation. I think you're stretching there to blame it. I don't think he's trying to blame her. He's saying my vision was too radical for the proles, right? The idiot proletariat. They couldn't work it out. It was too wild and out there for them. Off. To play the world. Some weren't taken with Whittaker as a Doctor, but initially disliking a new actor is an uncommon occurrence. I liked her, but God, she got worse. I liked her because I was giving the benefit of the doubt. By the time we got up to Arachnids in the UK, that wasn't possible anymore. That's all at 4 weeks. The fact that Whittaker was the first female Doctor wasn't the reason for the negative reaction to the Chibnall's changes. I think it's more of a symptom than the cause. Right, and yet it appears that his get out clause, when speaking of it, that time is correct. I don't think so. I really didn't say. Well, you decide, right? Children expecting backlash, misunderstand the problem. Okay, so what is the problem then? But going by his own statement, Chibnall's own statement, he was aware that fans would be divided on the year of verified speed, which Rusty Davies as well. Yeah, this is video file. Where is it? Here it goes.
It's the 60th. Imagine how much fans love new things and will really rejoice when this happens.
I mean, I do like he's having a laugh with it, right?
It's a new
but again, look, new things being accepted by fandom, it's purely on them being good or bad, right? And good or bad is a subjective thing. I know it's really not actually. Like, you know, Philip Hinton, Robert Holmes is good. Timeless Children is bad, right? By Generation was bad. I don't mind somebody experimenting and having a duffer, but man, every decision has been a duffer so far. However, fine. So he said he would be divided on the process. However, associating his predicted criticism with the presence of the female doctor shows how. So what is the issue then? He was already so keenly aware of aspects that that would be panned. The more logical move would have been to alter course rather than commit so hard to misguided action, or go forward and not have it be shit. See, the trouble is the quality of the writing just wasn't there, and then they hid from any criticism by saying, "Oh, you're just a sexist," right? That was the problem. So please, the problem with Christian Mazera went far beyond a portion of the fan base that didn't like Jodie Whittaker as the new lead character. It was a new character. That's the truth. It wasn't the Doctor. Most issues came from the poor scripts, paper-thin villains, and such an illogical plot twist. But why did they have poor scripts, paper-thin villains, and a logical plot twist? Because the only thing that mattered was having a female Doctor, was representation. That was the only thing that was of any import to anyone. Fine, paper-thin villains, the logical. While Chibnall may understand this on some level, he doesn't seem to be willing to provide much. Well, it's all his fault. He's not going to blame himself. Explains the divisive time in charge and the desire to bring something new to the franchise. Well, again, lack of any internal logic. I leave us alone with this bullshit, mate. Right? Just leave us alone with it. While an attempt to freshen up Doctor Who should be applauded, Chibnall's mindset led to an underwhelming spell in the show's history. Doctor Who's Timeless Child backlash was more about the show than it being about something new. Yes, it was new and it was shit. Oh, I mean, okay. For example, let's say Spider-Man gets all new powers, right? And his powers are now, at will, he can turn to wood. So that doesn't seem that impressive a power. I think being able to swing on webs like a spider throughout New York and fall villains. That just being able to turn into wood doesn't seem like a great idea. The word implies that he also believes part of the issue with his critics is the fact that he added something new to Doctor Who. However, fans are often excited by the introduction of new lore. Take the War Doctor. We all like the War fucking Doctor, right? I guess when you just try to do it again with the Council Estate Doctor, it didn't really work. Often excited by it. As the recent edition of the shocking bi-generation twist. No, we didn't like it. Sorry, mate. If you're kidding yourself, you think that went down well. It didn't, right? It did not go down well. Just understand that. It did not go down well. While it's true that editions can be poorly received, the faults with Chibnall's most controversial design of The Timeless Child went far beyond that. Beyond the fact it was a fresh introduction. The identity of the Timeless Child being revealed as a Doctor destroys decades of carefully crafted storytelling. So I think the problem you have with The Timeless Child is you noticed it, right? You didn't notice Jodie Whittaker being exactly the opposite of the character of the Doctor. Right, the Doctor is a an anti-authoritarian authority, right? And Jodie Whittaker was an authoritarian bumbling moron, right? So not an authority at all. And in terms of leaving Mark on the show, Chibnall introduced a plot twist that was so disruptive that opened up plot. We were opening up to make it so we can have more stories. No, you wanted to have a black woman with a gun, right? That's all you wanted. You wanted there to be a black woman with a gun, right? That's literally all you cared about, with a big gun, I should say. Because of negative comments as here, and because Chris Jimmer wanted a black woman with a big black woman with a big black gun, right? Because he wanted that, and you point that out, they go, "Well, you don't like black people existing. I have no problem with black people existing, you fuck nut moron. I do have a problem with people like Chris Jimmer using black people for his own self-aggrandization. It's called tokenism, and it's pure racism. If you're not a dumb fuck, you understand that." But mostly the people who cheer for the Whittaker era are dumb fucks, right? It's kind of like, you have to. There's no way. Like, I remember when my brother-in-law is the archetypal Democrat. Like, he lives in a very affluent, high-tech area. And just like, again, very, 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 archetypal Democrat. And he was over by us once. It's like to do the wedding, my son's wedding. I can't remember. Right. And we both avoid talking politics because we obviously have very different political views, right? And we don't want to offend each other, which is right. And he is such a good person. My wife's brother, genuinely a good, nice person. So he mentioned, like, saying, well, you can't have any memory. If you have any memory, things get messed up. You can't. That's if you're a Democrat, you have to. You can't remember, like, it's 2020. You have the summer of love and insurrection everywhere. Then you look at January 6th, and it's like, not so much. All right. It can be because of negative comments. Described, but the even more objective one, Chibnall's additions to the canon completely undercut the Doctor's character, backstory, and legacy. Yes, because it was designed purely to make the character more diverse, right? That's why they like the idea. All the questions raised weren't answered in future Chibnall installments because he was fired halfway through, right? Instead, Russell Davies had to steady the ship upon the return as showrunner. No, he really didn't. He didn't ignore it, and he didn't go. And he didn't ignore it. He just moved forward and had kept it there. Right? And I think Doctor Who's on its fucking knees right now. Right? The rumor is that David Tennant either appears in season 1 finale or season 2 finale, and it's because Shooty Gut was not continuing after the 3rd season, right? And he needs help from other. Look, he's in the same unit. It makes zero sense to me that they wouldn't be using David Tennant whenever they can. So by attributing the okay. Instead, Russell Davies had to steady the ship by attributing Chibnall's chaotic changes to Neil Patrick's Toymaker. Now, I believe that. But I think you're shoehorning in. This led to the Chinese Child of retcon in the 60th anniversary. Chris Chibnall's dismissal of his work's inconsistencies as fans not liking new editions means that he's either unaware of the issues or disagrees with the fact that there were any issues at all. Either way, his comments are misleading. Well, that's fair enough. What really went wrong? Finally! Chibnall's time, what really went wrong in Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who era? Additional time in charge caused many... Okay, Jesus, how much longer is this waffling on for? Oh, we're nearly done. Aside from what I thought storylines, confusing plot twists, Chibnall's Doctor Who was riddled with other issues. Despite some thoroughly entertaining Doctor Who episodes, not one, such as David... before Whittaker. 42 and Dinosaurs on the Spaceship. Dinosaurs on the Spaceship was a bit naff. Before becoming showrunner, his time as lead writer didn't result in many exciting stories. In addition, he stepped away from Doctor Who to write and lead Broadchurch between 2013 and 2017. It's possible Chibnall became too accustomed to writing for a vastly different. No, it's just he didn't have what it takes. Right? That's about he just did not have what it takes. Even Kingdom was the 13th Doctor, Myriad of Kind were also questionable. Bradley Wolf's performance of Graham was one of the best Chibnall casts. Yes, he got very lucky with him. I agree with you. I think Bradley Walsh was good. But the others felt flat. Yeah, because they're utterly shit. That's why. Here, that reminds me. Let me grab this video. Where is it? Oh, here it is. One second. Where's the video address? Is this it? Yeah, let's try this. That does it. Doink. Doink. Yeah, look, no. The companions were cast by their identity rather than their ability. I mean, very, very obviously cast for their identity and not their ability, because they didn't have any fucking ability. Right? Graham lifted the script off the page because he's Bradley Walsh is a really talented performer. They could take that Drek and make it actually sound realistic. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, I think he probably came out the best out of the Chibnall era. But others fell flat the majority of their episodes. One of the most confusing casting was the British stand-up comedian John Bishop as Dan Lewis, a figure acting resume incredibly thin. He was there as the white bloke to replace Bradley Walsh's white bloke. Even returning stars that have generated excitement were handled poorly. John Barrowman's reprising with Captain Jack should have been a landmark Doctor moment. Instead, it was very little to do. Well, again, and then they took a shit all over John Barrowman as well, which, a little bit. But anyway, speaking of, if you forgot how bland and useless the Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill were, here, let me remind you.
Message for other sins. Yeah, just.
So that's the new companion. I love the intense confidence in everything they say, like it matters.
Just the general, enjoy it because it goes so fast, and it was what I wanted to.
Okay, darling, it didn't go fast. For me, it seemed like a fucking a nightmare long edge. It didn't go fast in any way, shape, or form. It went very, very slow, right? Very slow.
Here, and yeah, there's no actual advice, but I'm sure she.
You can't give any advice. You can't fucking act. Mandip Gill, okay? You should be the makeup lady at Boots the Chemist, right? The pharmacy, if you're American, right? You should be the makeup lady. That's where you should be in life. This is ridiculous. You're not an actress. Acting takes intelligence and talent. Two things I have never seen you display. You can do Hollyoaks, okay? But that's not acting.
I'm sure she's going to be absolutely amazing. But
absolutely amazing. Look, she's not white. She's absolutely, and again, the firing Millie Gibson's so dumb.
Yeah, really enjoy it because time does fly when you're having fun.
No, yeah, exactly. And nobody had fun. Okay? There was a complete absence of fun with your Doctor Who. It was agonizing shit, right? I would say relentlessly agonizing shit. And I'm just saying that because I'm being kind, frankly. Yeah, that's how I'd say it. Relentlessly agonizing shit. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.